Hello, everyone, and welcome back. As always, I'm your girl, Candy Washington. So, before we dive into today's episode, which is covering all things Real Housewives of Miami Season 6, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. So, with that, you guys, let's dive right on in. So, first up, I'm going to say what I think about the season so far, and then we will dive into each of the ladies. So for me, I love the Miami girls. I think they are a total vibe. They are a kiki. They are the moment. I am here for them. I think it's a really fun season, and I love that the drama is about their real lives, and they don't really do like take down seasons. The energy is different. Yes, they still call people out like, "Oh, are you dating a married man?" and, "Is this person cheating? Are you getting divorced?" They still do that, but it just feels different when they do it. It doesn't feel as dark or as malicious or as conjured up or planted. Like I think like with Potomac, a lot of their takedown is lies and made up and like fake stuff that they say to take people down and to deflect. Where I feel as the ladies of Miami, I feel like the reason why it's such a good show is because none of the women really deflect. They really own their stuff. They really just sort of say, this is what's going on. Now, they may put a nice, shiny veneer on it, like Alexia, we'll get into her, but they really own their stuff. They don't do a lot of projection or deflection and things like that. So I think that's why when they talk about people's lives and everything and the drama and like who's dating who's getting divorced, who's cheating, what's going on, it doesn't have that same icky, dark energy feeling that we sometimes get in like Beverly Hills or we get in Potomac or we had gotten in New York at the very end and like even like Atlanta. So I think that's why it has more of like a fresher, funner, light shade. So I'm definitely here for it. Now, let's see. Now, this particular episode, I think it was, and of course, you know me, all roads lead to Beverly Hills. I think it's very similar to episode 2 of Beverly Hills, where it is a setup episode. And what I always mean by that is it's setting up the storyline, the trajectory of all of the women for the rest of the season. So a lot of big things really didn't happen. Yes, we had Gertie tell us that she had cancer, but like we knew that from episode 1. But it was a good setup episode in the beginning of the season that has really given us a roadmap for storylines. Like we know it's going to be Julia versus Marisol. And then I think as by proxy of that, I'm questioning, is it going to be Marisol versus the group? Because I think it was very telling that Julia was like, the problem with this group is Marisol. And nobody really defended her. Alexia was like, look, I'm tired of fighting your battles. I got enough on my plate, girl, bye. And that's her quote bestie. So I think it's setting up that dynamic. This episode is also setting up the fate of Alexia and Todd's marriage. Todd is back on the scene. They have a very awkward and cringy dinner where she doesn't even really want to look at him. And I'm going to get into, when we get to Alexia's slide, I'm going to get into what I think is the real reason why their marriage is in big trouble. Big trouble. And I'm going to give you my conspiracy theory as to what I think is truly going on with them. And yeah, I'm going to tell you what I think is really going on, and I think it's pretty bad in my personal opinion. Okay. It's also setting up, obviously, Gertie's cancer journey. It's setting up Gertie versus Larsa. It's setting up Adriana versus Alexia and Marisol. So it's setting up that dynamic. And then it's also setting up the fate of Lisa's divorce versus the future if she has one with her new man. How they had Kiki be like, oh, is he like a rebound? Like, what's going on with that? So I think that this episode did a lot of foreshadowing and setting up the storylines for the season to come. So I thought it was a good episode. I thought it was really funny. I'm here for it. It's great. Now, let's start in on each of the ladies, okay? And as we go on, put down your questions, put down your comments, drop your candy canes. Where are you listening from? What are your conspiracy theories? Join the chat. It is popping. The water is fine. Come on and join us, baby. All right. Now, let's get to Miss Gertie. Now, first, I wanted to say, sending her so much love. She has announced that she is now cancer free. She got the cancer removed. She went through chemo. She was rocking the cancer shaved head. So just sending her lots of love, her family love. I want to take a moment to serve reverence to that. Oh, thank you, the real estate insider, for the super sticker. That is so sweet. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you for your support. What's up, sweetheart? Thank you. I really appreciate that. So I wanted to take a moment to, just give reverence to that, because I think every person has been touched by a form of cancer, whether it's breast cancer or a different type of cancer. We've all been touched by cancer in some way. And not that I'm excited or looking forward to it in a weird way, but I am grateful that we're going to see her cancer journey and recovery journey, thank God, on the show. I think that's going to be really powerful. I think it's going to give a narrative and a lens and representation to a lot of people who have either battled cancers themselves, or they have, a loved one that they're supporting through their cancer journey. And I think it's super interesting that we're going to have both perspectives, right? We're going to have Gertie, who she herself had cancer, and what that looks like to be the person with cancer, and trying to, get support from your friends and family, but then also feeling hopeless to help your loved ones, like like your husband and your kids and everything like that. But then on the flip side, we then will get to see Julia's journey as someone who is supporting their partner with cancer. Martina, I believe, is now cancer free as well. I hope she is. Let's speak that into existence. But she also had breast and throat cancer. So I think it'll be very interesting that we get to see both sides of that story. What does it look like to be the person with cancer? And then what does it look like to be the person who's the loved one that's supporting their spouse, their person who has cancer? So I think that'll be really interesting. And we don't usually get that deep with stuff on the shows. So I'm excited to see how they tackle it. I really want to see how they tackle it. Now, when she was talking about being mad at Larsa, I would have been mad at Larsa all day, every day. Larsa, you need to sit down and have several seats. She has been very dismissive of Gertie, and I'll repeat this when we get to Larsa's side as well. But she has been very dismissive of her. I can't understand Gertie. I don't know what she's saying half the time. Put a muzzle on it. Your fake tears, blah, 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 blah. Larsa, you came hard for Gertie, and now you can't handle when she comes back for you? Like, turnaround's fair play. Don't light the match if you can't handle the smoke. Like, girl, bye, Larsa. I would be pissed too. And then when Gertie was, at the brunch with her, and she was trying to tell her the news, because, news like that, whether any type of trauma, and, getting a cancer diagnosis is a lot of trauma, but any type of trauma, or even not trauma, even just difficult conversations to have, they can be hard. You can get choked up. You can not know what to say. You can kind of react in a weird way. And the fact that Larsa was so belittling to her, like, we're not going to cry. What are you saying? Spit it out. What are you talking about? Was just so disrespectful. Like, Larsa, Gertie is a whole woman, okay? She's a whole woman. She's a whole wife. She's a whole entrepreneur. She's a whole mother. Like, girl, sit down, have several seats. You are not better than her. And I hope that Gertie gets up and actually leaves when she's like, I'm done with this. I think she'll probably stick around, and we'll see the rest of that conversation in the next episode. But we'll see. We'll see. But I'm happy that she's standing her ground. Now, this is the thing. Sometimes Gertie can do the most. Like, last season, she did the most. She was crying all the time. She made everything about her. She was over the top. But at the end of the day, that's her personality. And I think that's just her. Did I find it annoying at times? Yeah. But did it make me dislike Gertie? No. I like Gertie. I love her. She's a moment. She's funny. She wanted to share. And I think a lot of the housewives sometimes do that. They are over the top. They are doing the most. They are crying in every scene. They're interjecting. They're making it about them. But like, get the screen time, girl. Like, she's doing her job. I don't think that was anything to slight Gertie over. And I also think it's just a part of her personality. That's just who she is. That's how she acts. So for me, I really like Gertie. Does she do the most sometimes? Yeah, but like, why not? If I'm on the show, I would probably do the most too. I want the screen time. I want to get paid every episode. I want to be asked back. I'm doing the most too. I'm earning my paycheck. But I don't think Gertie does the most in a disingenuous way. I think she just does the most because that's her. And then in this particular situation, it was so valid. She's struggling with getting the news that she has breast cancer, having to then tell her husband, and then what it's going to be like to tell her children, and then having to tell these women on camera, having to tell the world. Like, I would be a mess too. I would be all over the place too. And like Gertie said, to her point, she was like, I was at the, New Horizons Nuevas Horizontes. Sorry, I don't want to like slaughter Spanish. Like the New Horizon dinner that they had. And she was like, I was just trying to hold it together. She was like, I was putting on a smile. I was getting it together. And then Larsa got in my face being like, Gertie, why are you calling me fake? Blah, 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 which is true. Gertie was minding her business. She really was. For as outspoken and loud she can be, which is totally fine if that's how you are, whatever, she was quiet. She was over in the corner with her man, and you could tell she was kind of going through it. Because everybody else, because if you watch the scenes back, everyone basically was like, Gertie's going through something. Gertie's going through something. Gertie's like, even at the gay brunch that Marisol had, her guy friend there was like, well, maybe give her the benefit of the doubt, and maybe she's going through something. Like, duh. And then Larsa was sitting there like, no, no. So it's like, you claim to be so close to Gertie, but you are literally the only person. And this man didn't even really know Gertie like that. He just heard what was going on, who didn't give her grace when it was so clear that she was going through something. Larsa, bye. All right. Well, now let me actually get to Larsa. And thank you again to the real estate insider for the super sticker. I really appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, now let's move to Larsa. I already kind of went in on her, but we can do more because I got more to say about this chick. So, Larsa, you are fake. You are a Kardashian clone. You are fake. Like, what are you talking about? Everything about you is fake. And I don't say that in a derogatory way. If you want to get your lips done, your nose done, your boobs done, your butt done, knock yourself out. But then don't be shocked when people call you fake. And she wasn't calling you fake because of your body. Like, she wasn't body shaming you. She was calling you fake because you were being a fake friend. Because your personality is fake, and you were. Because you were clowning the hell out of Gertie. The same way you clown Kiki, because you thought Gertie was going to be a little lackey for you the way Kiki is. But even Kiki this episode gave you all the shade. She was like, you cannot be with your boy toy. Like, you're 50. Like, girl, you can handle it. So even Kiki is finding her voice. I love Kiki. Last season, Kiki did do the most at the video shoot. That was a little bit much. But other than that, I do like Kiki. But I do think that Larsa likes to surround herself with yes people. People who she thinks that she is cooler than, better than, the HBIC, and that people will just, be yes people to her and do her bidding. And she could talk about them and put them down, and they would just take it. And Gertie was like, wait a minute, you're saying all this stuff about me. Like, I don't know what I'm talking about. I need to put a muzzle on it, that I have all these fake, like, all this stuff going on. You are supposed to be my friend. So yeah, you are fake. You say one thing in my face because you need an ally on the show, because nobody else was really messing with you like that, Larsa. You needed an ally on the show. You thought that Gertie and Kiki were the weakest links. So you took them on, and you thought you could talk about them any type of way, and they would be your lackey, and you messed around and you found out. Point blank period. You are fake. Get out of here. And I'm proud of Gertie. I am very proud of Gertie for not being a beta B to Larsa. For saying, no, you said some messed up things about me. So yeah, I said some messed up things about you. And what? I'm not going to just be like your beta. So I'm happy that she did that. I'm happy that she is speaking out for herself. And then also, like, she was breaking down at the dinner and being like, when I call you, like, I need you to like really be there for me, like, like really be there. So clearly she was going through something. And then when Larsa called her on the phone, she was like, yeah, well, let's like get together and like let's talk, because that's kind of like cancer news. You kind of want to tell somebody face to face. And Larsa still showed up with a stank attitude. Like, if you're supposed to be my friend and we are going to a brunch where I'm supposed to be telling you what is bothering me, and you have the audacity to look me in my face and say, we're not going to cry, I would not even do appetizers. I would be up and out. First of all, you're not going to police my emotions and my feelings. You're not going to tell me what I can and cannot do. And the fact that you're going to come at me like that when I'm clearly struggling, you're not my friend and you are fake, because your friends are the people who are with you when you're going through things, when you're not at your best, when you are acting crazy, when you are acting out, when you are struggling. The people who are there for you in the moments when you aren't at your best, those are your actual friends. Because anybody can kick it with you and kiki with you when everything is cool and kumbaya and everything's on the up and up and you're on the same page and you're laughing and you're dipping it and you're doing it. That's an associate. Anybody can kick it with you when things are good. But when you are breaking down at parties, when you are crying, when you are being erratic because clearly something is going on in your life, the friends who stick by you then, those are your actual friends. So Larsa, shut up and have several seats. Now, her relationship with Michael Jordan's son, super cringy. I always think it's really weird when adults know children, and then when those children grow up, those same adults have sex with them. I think it's really gross and nasty. Like, I personally think it's really gross that if you were of age and you were around a person in any type of like substantial time, which she clearly was. There's rumors that she used to like babysit with like her and her kids, like Jada Pinkett Smith having sex with her son's, I mean, allegedly her son's ex-boyfriend, having sex with that boy, Augustus, whatever. Like, he grew up within their family. To me, that's disgusting. Just because I don't know, like the energy, the dynamic, the psyche of it. Like, one, having sex with someone who's had sex with your children is really gross to me. This is Jada Pinkett I'm talking about, not Larsa. Is really gross to me. I just think that's really nasty. But then also on top of that, I just think if you've been an adult and you've been any type of person in a child's life, that child kind of should be off limits sexually forever. That's just kind of what I think. It's kind of nasty. It's really kind of nasty to me. And it's really, really cringy. And she's doing too much. Like, if you have to show me that you're in a relationship, then you're really not in a relationship, you know? Or no, if you have to tell me, wait, what is it? What's it saying? Show me, don't tell me. Yeah, if you have to tell me, you know what? If you have to show me and tell me you're in a relationship, you're not in a real relationship. To me, I think it's very stunty. I think it's giving PR. It's giving Michael Jordan's son is having a temper tantrum and he wants his father's attention. It's giving this is a relationship for the paparazzi. It's giving this is a relationship for a storyline. It's not giving real. It's giving, blind items is that he's already and has been cheating on her. It's giving very fake. It's giving boyfriend for hire. It's giving very thirsty. Both Larsa and Michael Jordan's son, I don't even know what his name is, just Michael Jordan's son, are thirsty as hell. And I'm sorry, but like, I find him to be kind of dusty. Because just because you have money or come from money doesn't mean that you are like a quality dude. He just seems very dusty to me. I don't know. Like, when she was just like, we just eat all this stuff and I'm getting fat and I wake up and go in. But then I also was like, is he dusty? Or is he just a young guy and she's 50? And so that's why it seems like he's like unmotivated and dusty. You know what I'm saying? Or is he actually doing what is age appropriate for him and she needs to find a man who's age appropriate for her? Not age shaming. I'm not age shaming. That's not what I mean. I just mean not necessarily age appropriate, lifestyle appropriate. Let me put it that way. So I don't want to age shame anybody. Lifestyle appropriate. If you have a certain lifestyle, like waking up and going to the gym and having structure, then maybe you don't date someone who is still acting like a college kid because he can. Do you see what I'm saying? It's crazy. Natasha says Marcus. No, I know his name is Marcus. I just like to call him Michael Jordan's son. Because I'm being shady. I'm being shady as hell. And I think she's using him as a storyline. Shout out to Nataski. Hey, Foxy. Hey, Malpun. So let me shout out to my candy canes real quick. Everybody in the chat box. Hey, Foxy. How my pun? Who else is in here? Hey, Tay Tay the Savior. Hey, sweetheart. What is up? Hey, Crin Bryn. All right. I just wanted to say hi to people. Okay. So, yeah. Okay, so I already covered how dirty and completely dismissive she was of Gertie at the brunch. And did you guys catch how she's clearly only in Miami for filming? Like, girl, she wanted to be a local hire. So to me, Larsa doesn't live in Miami. I feel like she only moved to Miami and she got that little apartment condo only to be a part of the show. Like, I don't think she actually lives there. I think Larsa really lives, I think she splits her time in real life between LA and then maybe a bit of New York. And then she just has the apartment there just for filming. Very similar to what I think is going on with Ashley Darby and Michael. Not that they don't live in the Potomac area, but I think that Michael got Ashley Darby that house to be a filming house because I think Michael Darby no longer wanted to be on the show because he didn't want the smoke that came with it and he didn't want the camera crew in his house anymore. So I think that's why he bought Ashley that house, was to be a filming house for her and the boy so he didn't have to be there and they didn't have to be in his business. I think very similarly, a Larsa's Miami life is only for filming. I don't think she really lives in Miami at all. I don't think so. You know, I think she lives in LA with her kids. Because isn't that where all her kids are in LA? I think it's like for filming. Okay, let's move on to Lisa. Now, this might be an unpopular opinion, so I want to know what you guys think. Put it in the chat box about Lisa. I think she's still in love with Lenny. I think she's still in love with Lenny. I think that she is holding out hope that they are going to not actually divorce and that they're going to get back together. And I'm not mad at that. I'm not, what I mean by not mad at it is, do I think she should take him back? No, obviously not, for how much he dogged her. But when I say I'm not mad at that, what I mean is I understand being married to someone for 15 years, having 2 children with them cheating on you and breaking your heart, and you still being in love with them. You know, it doesn't make sense. It's not right. He doesn't deserve her. She definitely should not go back to him and take him back. But I think that as human beings, I think you still love the person, even if you're going through it, even if you're going to get the divorce, even if everything is going on. And I think that she's still in love with him and she's still holding out hope that the divorce isn't going to really happen. I think she thinks that Lenny is going through like a midlife crisis, something is going on, and that somehow they're going to be able to work it out and find their way back to each other. I think her new boyfriend, Jody, I think he's great, but I think that she needs to stop talking about Lenny and the situation so much to him. Very similar to Gina in the OC. You know, her boyfriend, whatever his name is, all she talks about is Matt, her ex, you know, over and over and over again. And Heather even said to her, you know, your boyfriend's not your therapist. You can't keep going to him about your ex. And I agree with that. I do think that your current partner or your current boyfriend, yes, they are a support system for you. 100%. And of course, you can share with them what you're going through when it comes to like a separation or divorce or co parenting. Of course, because you want them to support you on that journey. But I do think that that there should be boundaries and there should be levels to it. Even in friendships, right? Like me and like my girlfriends, if one of my girlfriends, if all she ever does is just dump on me about, her problems, her stuff, and about an ex and all this stuff, there does come a point where it's like, well, maybe you should talk to someone about this because I'm not like your trash can. And also, like certain dynamics, like if I was dating a guy, like for example, if my partner, if the guy I'm seeing, if he was always talking to me about his ex, it would be a wrap. It would be an absolute wrap. And honestly, isn't that one of the things, like one of the biggest red flags is like on a first date is if they bring up their ex? It's just, it's an also like a respect level. It's like, am I just here for you to be a sounding board for you to talk about your ex over and over and over again? Like it does get to be a bit disrespectful. It does get to be a little weird. Your partner is there to support you, yes. But there are levels to this. There are boundaries to this. There are respect things. Because if I'm seeing a guy and every other word out of his mouth is his ex-girlfriend, his ex-wife's name, or what they're going through and what's happening with them, I'm out. I'm out, even if you're going through a separation or divorce, because I'm not number two to anyone or anything. And I'm not a filler person, and I'm sure as hell not a rebound chick. So I would be out. Poor Jody. But at the same time, Jody, you should be smart enough to know the deal. You should be smart enough to know you're dating a woman who was married for 15 years, who wanted her marriage to work. It wasn't like she decided to leave him. She was cheated on. It's very contentious, it's very acrimonious. And clearly, in my personal opinion, she is not over him. And I get it. I get it. You can't just snap your fingers and be over someone, even if they are a scumbag like Lenny. In some ways, it makes you even more addicted to them. It's like, oh, wait, you cheated on me. Oh, wait, you humiliated me. A part of our ego, when people cheat on us specifically, wants to win that person back because in a very like ego-based way, and this isn't necessarily a negative, this is just like how humans operate. Our ego wants to win. So in some way, it's like you cheated on me. That feels like a loss. That feels like an L. That feels like a slight. That feels like I wasn't good enough. There's something about me that wasn't good enough. What does she have that I don't? What does he have that I don't? So when you get the person who cheated on you and made you feel that way back, our ego says, okay, well, I won. I proved my value. I proved my worth. I won. So a lot of times when people do us dirty like that, we actually want to get them back even more just so we feel better about ourselves. It might not be the healthiest thing, but I think it's pretty common. I think it's pretty common because our ego wants to feel like we won, you know? So I do think that she wants him back, but we'll see. Now, this is the thing, Lisa Boo Boo. You need to call, because again, all roads lead to Beverly Hills. You need to call Sutton real quick, and you need to get her team of financial forensic people, profiler people, because when she said that she was getting 8K a month, I was like, 8K a month, that is very, 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 very low. I was shocked at that. 8K. Like, she has 2 kids with him and they're still married. So this is like the preliminary, spousal child support situation. Why would she be excited about that? Why was the lawyer excited about that? 8,000 a month? And I'm not sneezing at that in a realistic way. Like us, Jane Doe, John Doe, everyday schmucks. You know what I'm saying? Of course, AK would be good for all of us, for as, spousal or child support, whatever the case is. I'm saying that in context of Lisa and Lenny and all of their money and their mansions, and he's the big boob doctor of Miami, and they have the cars and the jets and the designer clothes and the parties. So I'm saying it in context to their lifestyle. I'm not out of touch or tone deaf. You know what I'm saying? But that's what I mean by that in context to their lifestyle. He's the big Miami boob doctor. He's supposed to have all of this money. He throws these lavish parties, their big mega mansion. And you're only asking for $8,000 a month for you and your two children? But then I was like, well, maybe, just maybe, Lenny doesn't have the finances and the money we think he has. Because remember last season, they were trying to clown Lisa because they were saying that Lenny was renting out the mansion or the house for parties because he needed the money to pay for the mortgage. Now, this is the thing. To me, I'm not mad at that. If you have this big mega mansion and you can rent it out for like a night, a couple of parties, whatever the case may be, a fun weekend, and get your paper up and you can pay the mortgage with that, and then the rest of your money is your play money, do you. I think that's really smart. People do it all the time. People Airbnb their houses. People Airbnb their apartments for extra cash and to help pay their mortgage. They rent out rooms in their house. So to me, I'm not mad at that. Like that, to me, that actually sounds really smart. If you have the time, if you have the space and you can do it, why not leverage your home or your apartment to get extra money? Like that's really smart. The thing is this, was he doing it in a smart, let's get some extra cash, or was he doing it because he needed the cash? And those are two different things. And so to me, I'm like, if he's doing that because he needed the cash, because sometimes a lot of these people who A, definitely get on reality shows, and B, just in general, who act like they have all this money, they have all the cars and they're doing this and they're flying everywhere and they have the jets and these big old mega mansions, which is nothing but like a money pit, are fronting. They're robbing Peter to pay Paul. They're doing Ponzi schemes. They're doing fraud schemes. They're in debt out of their mind. They're remortgaging their homes to keep up appearances, right? So it could be that where $8,000 a month would make sense if that's how much he has, in cash. He could be cash poor. Maybe his business isn't doing as good as it is. Because to me, when she's at $8,000, I was like, what? I was shocked. I was all the way shocked. And her little weird pipsqueak, lawyer was like, this is a great day for us. We don't have to go do a thing. We're getting the $8K a month. I was like, this is a great day. I would fire the lawyer like $8K a month. Now, again, that number can change because don't forget, this is still just the spousal child support during their divorce. So that number most likely will change. I don't know if that number usually goes up or down. I'm not sure, depending on what type of, like Shannon Bedore, don't go to her divorce lawyers. They screwed her. She got screwed. She had a great, alimony, child support when they were divorcing, but then she got screwed for post divorce. So again, Lisa, go talk to Sutton because Sutton is getting like 300K, 350K a month. I don't think Lenny has that type of money, but 8K, I smell something fishy going on. There's something fishy going on here. You know what I mean? Hey, Foxy makes a great point. Maybe he could be hiding money. That's also another really good point. And or shout out to Foxy for that. And or he could have ill-gotten money that maybe he doesn't, quote, report. And that's how he has all of the lavish stuff. And so since he doesn't, report it, you better watch out because Uncle Sam's going to come and get you, boo-boo. But because he doesn't report it, he's not reporting it on his financials to the court system. You see what I'm saying? Like something isn't, like the math isn't mathing. You see what I'm saying? Like the math isn't mathing. You have this gorgeous, over the top, luxurious life, and then your wife is excited about 8K a month for her and two kids. We need to expose Lenny. We need a Reddit thread. We need something. Lenny needs to be exposed. Okay. All right. Let's move on to Julia. Okay, so Julia, I'm looking forward to seeing Martina's recovery journey. I kind of covered this a little bit when we talked about Gertie. I'm looking forward to seeing, like, her perseverance. And by looking, it sounds so cringy to say looking forward or excited when it's a thing like that. But you know what spirit I'm saying it in? Like, I think it's going to be very positive. I think it's going to be very informative to give voice to cancer patients and survivors and what it really looks like to go through it in a real way. So that's really what I mean by it. I can say this. I am so happy. I am so elated that their fake storyline of we're adopting a baby is over. Like, put a pin in it. You weren't adopting a child. That was for a storyline. Like, girl, just go back to your little animal farm with your pets and your stuff, like, and your vegetables. We didn't need the fake adopting a baby storyline. Martina is freaking what, 60s or in his 70s? She's not trying to adopt a child. And Julia is out here dipping it and doing it. I don't think she really wants to look that for a kid. To me, that was all fake news storyline. And I'm happy it's over because it was weird and bizarre and boring, quite frankly. Now, I have a theory. Not even a theory. It's more just based on what was said last season. I do think that Julia was cheating on Martina. Remember the whole quote rumor that she was spotted kissing a guy at some hotel or whatever, and she was like, "Oh no, it's my friend. I kiss all my guy friends like that." Julia, stop lying, girl. I think Julia definitely either is and or still is cheating on Martina. 100%. They were living separate lives. Julia went all the way to a freaking farm by herself. Martina stayed in the city and it was like, and what? You know what I'm saying? She's like, I'm going to go to Vermont. I'm going to go ski. I'm going to go, I'm going to go play some tennis. Like, I'm out. Like, they were so irritated by each other. Even Julia's daughter was irritated by her. Remember last season? Remember, this was pre-cancer diagnosis. They were having huge marital problems. They weren't getting along. They weren't spending time together. Julia was spotted tonguing down some dude at the hotel. And again, this is all for entertainment. This is all alleged. This is all opinion based. Okay. I think she is definitely cheating. And I think that they were headed for maybe a separation, Splitsville. But then Martina, unfortunately, got diagnosed. And I think once that happened, obviously that shakes everything up. Obviously, you put the side pieces on pause, you focus on being there for your spouse, your loved one, and it changes things. It makes you appreciate the person. It makes you love the person. It's kind of, like, that's scary to think you're going to lose this person. And so I think that initially it's going to bring them closer together. But again, like I said, this episode, or maybe this actually happened last episode, either this episode or last episode, they're foreshadowing episodes, right? The early episodes are always setting up the storylines for the rest of the season. Did you catch, though, how Martina was pissed at Julia because Julia wasn't there for her through certain, like, chemo sessions and things she was going through? And Martina was like, you missed this one. You weren't there for it. Where were you? And Julia's kind of like, oh, wait, what? Really? Wait, what? So I think that things like that, whether it's, cancer or a baby or whatever the case is, threesomes, whatever, band-aids. And I don't want to say cancer is a band-aid because I'm not trying to be not sensitive, but you guys know, you know what spirit I'm saying this in. Any type of, quote, band-aid that kind of brings you together under an extreme circumstance only lasts for so long when the core issues aren't addressed. So I think that Martina's cancer diagnosis is such an extreme thing to go through. Of course, it's going to bring them together. Of course it is. But I don't think their core issue that they are living separate lives. They aren't really on the same page. The sex doesn't really seem to be there anymore. They don't have that chemistry anymore. They do seem very disconnected. Those core issues haven't been addressed. So they're going to come back. And I think we're going to start to see those cracks in the upcoming episodes. But I love Martina. And I pray that she is cancer free, just like Gertie, and she is doing well. But to me, Martina is a vibe. I love her. I think she's funny. I think she's great. She's amazing. She's a legend. I'm here for it. I love her. But let's see. So, why is Julia coming so hard for Marisol this season? One, I think it's revenge for the kissing a man rumor from last season. I know that I think it was Larsa who said it, but weren't we saying that Marisol was the one who was like planting all of the rumors? I don't know. We have to go back. I believe it was Larsa the one who dropped the bomb, but I think it was Marisol who was like planting everything, right? Maybe that. But even if not that, I think that she's vindicating her girlfriend, Adriana. How you doing, Adriana and Julia? You see what I'm saying? I think they definitely have hooked up and have been more than friends. Because remember how disrespectful Julia and Adriana were to Martina? Like rubbing the feet and kissing and giving like a quote friendship ring and being so like needy and dependent on each other. Wouldn't not on my watch. Not if my partner ever treated me like that, out the freaking door, babe. No way. No way. It's so disrespectful. So disrespectful. Because you can have same sex friends or opposite sex friends or whatever friends. You can have friends, whatever. But again, it goes back to there's levels to things. There's boundaries and there's respect. And there's just certain lines you shouldn't cross when you are in a relationship. It's just disrespectful to the person that you're with. Even Gertie said it last season. She brought up all the stuff like, oh, why is Adriana rubbing your feet? Or either Julia rubbed Adriana's feet. Somebody was rubbing feet. You know what I'm saying? She was like, what the hell? So it was just very, very disrespectful. And it's not, and like the thing is, it's disrespectful, but underneath the disrespect is embarrassment. You know, if your person is out here dipping it and doing it with their so called friend, that's embarrassing. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody wants to be embarrassed by their person in public and especially on television. Absolutely not. And I thought Julia was trash for that. Not in like a Dorit trash way, but just like, you know, not in a not being nice way. Okay. But I do think she's trying to vindicate Adriana when it comes to Marisol, because she definitely was the one who started the rumor that she was dating a married man. But then she got Alexia, I think it was, to bring it to the show or whatever it was. I forget who brought the stuff to the show, but I was pretty sure it was like Marisol behind the scenes spinning everything. That's why Adriana was like, oh, she's like a witch in the cauldron or whatever it was. Or maybe that was Lisa. I forget. Again, I think that's why it's going to be like the group versus Marisol this season. And I think it's going to start with Julia and then it's going to trickle down to everybody else. But I think she's just doing vindication because, as we all know, in codependent relationships, when someone slights your codependent, you feel like it's your job to defend them and to vindicate them. So right now, Julia is being a flying monkey for Adriana and going after Marisol. Like, you came for my girlfriend, I'm coming for you, chick. And that's clearly where that's coming from. Okay. Now, here we go. Let's move on to Adriana. Oh, Adriana Boo Boo. Now, I think she did a big missed opportunity. Big missed opportunity. And I'm going to tell you why. So, last season, I really felt for her. I felt like she was going through something. I felt like she was trying to find herself, having all like, you know, different like identity crisis. She was just kind of a mess. She was all over the place, you know? And I really felt bad for her. You could tell she was kind of lonely. She was struggling, all of that. I don't know if her alimony ran out. She was talking about having to like support herself going forward or something like that. But you could really tell she was going through it. And we had a lot of sympathy for her during the season and even at the reunion. And I think that if she would have came back this season, and let me know what you guys think on this, because this is just my opinion. It might be unpopular, it might be popular. I don't know. But I think that if she would have came back this season, it really could have been her like Phoenix Rising season where she really shone and she's healed now and she's doing better and she has the music and she's happier and she's kicking with the girls and it's just like so much fun. And it would be like, oh yes, like, you know, we were rooting for you last season and now you've come back and you're bigger and you're better than ever. You go, girl. She really could have had that energy. But to me, I feel like she just came back as a bitter Betty. a Debbie Downer, and quite frankly, a jealous hater. And I'm going to say the difference is her energy behind it. She is so clearly jealous and mad that Jody, Lisa's boyfriend, moved into her old house, shading them in the confessional, walking through, talking about where she had sex and how they designed it and all that stuff. Sweetheart, you're just mad you can no longer live there. You're just mad about it. Whereas I think if she would have came and had that moment and was actually coming from like a fun place, like a good energy, like, oh my God, I used to live here. We used to do all this stuff. Can you believe it? Yeah, they remodeled it. Like, I would have kept it this way, but it's cute. Like, to me, it's not what she's saying, it's the energy in which she's saying it. Because you could throw some shade and have it be fun and light. But to me, her energy is just bitter and jealous. And I'm like, this is a missed opportunity. You could have came back like as the glory girl, because your nemesis Alexia is very humbled this season. Very humbled. She was on Watch What Happens Live talking about, I saw myself, and because she was very angry last season. She was very angry. She was very mad. She was lashing out. And Alexia this season, I think, is coming with the correct energy. She's humbled. She wants to bring the group together. She's like, I'm not going to lash out. I know that I was angry last season. I know I had a lot going on. So to me, Alexia is giving that energy of, I saw how I was and I'm changing to be that girl that Adriana wishes she had. And this is another thing. When she goes out to spill the tea about the trouble in Alexia and Todd's marriage, it's from a place of jealousy. Like, she's reveling in it. She's enjoying the bad news. Oh, Alexia thinks she's up here because of her money, and Todd gives her the things to be materialistic. No, Adriana, sweetheart, you're just jealous. You're just jealous. I'm not saying you want Todd in particular, no, but I do think you wish you were either A, still married or married now, and B, I do think you wish you still had access to a lot of money. Because duh, who wouldn't? Please, who wouldn't want all that money back, all that access back? You know what I'm saying? All that luxury back, living in a big old penthouse and you don't have to pay a dime for it. Duh. Who wouldn't want that back? Anybody in their right mind would. Duh. So I'm not saying that you're wrong for wanting that stuff back. To me, you're just jealous and you're a bitter person, and I don't like watching jealous, bitter people. And what I mean by it being energy is, yes, girl, you need to come, you need to spill the tea, you need to stir the pot. So I'm not saying that her talking about Alexia and Todd and what Todd said about, like, oh, it's not about you, Alexia, or you, Adriana. And Adriana was like, oh, you need to fix something in your marriage. And he's like, right, like all that stuff. It's not about commenting on her marriage. It's not about carrying the bone back, because again, you're on the show, you're doing your job, you're there to stir the pot and to spill the tea and all of that. I get it. But the fact that you take so much enjoyment out of it and you're being so nasty about it, that's what makes you a jealous, bitter hater. It's the energy. Because it's not like you were like, oh, Alexia and Todd are going through something. Let's talk to Alexia. Let's see how she's doing. How can we support her? Have you heard anything? What's going on? You were so happy and you were so excited. Oh, everything isn't as good as it looks. Blah, 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 blah. We know it's not as good as it looks. He didn't even show up to his own house for a party. But the fact that you reveled in it, I don't like that. Because to me, a person who delights in the demise of someone else, particularly someone who they used to say they cared about or were friends with, I don't rock with people like that. I think there's something very sinister and something very off when people delight in the demise of other people. I get it. Maybe you're not friends right now. I get it. You've had your beefs, but there's just something gross to me about someone who takes pleasure in other people's pain. Because you could carry the bone back, you could spill the tea, you could be the pot stirrer, you could make it a moment, but the energy in which you brought it was very, very nasty. And Adriana, you need to watch yourself, because that karma comes back to people. And you were going through it last season, and I was rooting for you. And I was like, people need to lay off of her. She's going through something. You need to be there for her. But this is, I don't know. I didn't like it. But I want to know what you guys think. I want to know what you guys, feel about it, So Let's see. Okay, so Emilio Estefan, is that his name? Emilio Estefan. I guess he's big in like I guess music, like Latin music. Um anyway, him just showing up at the brunch was obviously planned. Oh, I was just over here with my wife, and she was like, "Isn't that your friend with the camera crew and the production team and the lights and sound? Who put this mic on me? Where'd this mic come from?" Like, boy, bye. That was clearly planned. And I was like, is the music industry struggling right now? And also, it was giving like PK and Boy George vibes, where it's so like planted, it's so obvious, just so, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. And she's like, he was going to give this song to like, who was he going to give the song to? Olivia Rodrigo, was it? I don't know, but he gave it to me instead. I'm like, Adriana, shut up. I just need her to clean up her energy. Clean it up. Clean it up. All right. Let's move on to Dr. Nicole. Okay, I love Dr. Nicole. Like, I am a Dr. Nicole stan. I think she's great. I think she's so cute. I love her little tight little body. I love all of her decadence. I love that she's really smart. She's pregnant now with baby number 2. I just love Dr. Nicole. I think she gives really smart, intelligent shade, and she doesn't go below the belt too much. You know what I mean? I think she's a vibe. I think she's really, really pretty. Like, I think she's really cute. Like, she's someone that I would like want to be friends with, you know? There's always people you're like, oh, I would be friends with that girl. Like, I would love to be friends with, like, Dr. Nicole. I think she's really fun. She like we would go get like some cocktails and like hang out and like have dinner, you know? She's fun. She's a vibe. I really like her. Now, I'm looking forward to seeing more of her in the upcoming episode. She wasn't highly featured, but again, we had so much going on with Gertie and the cancer and everything. I think that it'll start to pick up with other people in more scenes, and we'll see more of her. I don't think she's getting the Crystal treatment, which is good. I do think we'll see more of her. And I think that her storyline is going to be very similar to her past season, right? Where it's going to be about mending fences with her mother and her father, because I think her and her mom are maybe on the outs a bit now. And I think her father, the cat daddy, he's expecting a baby. So I think it's going to be a lot again about family trauma, dysfunction, mending those fences. And I don't want to be jaded, but something still seems shady with how much money her husband has. I know people are like, he comes from money and he came from money and I don't know what he does, real estate or investment or other weird buzzwords that mean nothing, right? So they have a lot of money. And I just want to say, I just hope it's above board. I hope it's above board because they have planes and massive cars and massive houses and all of this stuff. So I do hope the money is above board. And I know she makes a pretty penny being an anesthesiologist. Those people make a crap ton of money. Those doctors make a lot of money. I totally get that, but not the level of the luxury and the decadence that they are displaying. And so I hope his money or his family money or whatever his money makes, I hope it's up to snuff because I love to see it. I love to see it. I love to see the over the top houses. I love to see the private jets. I love seeing the boats. I love seeing the jewelry. I love seeing all of it. Like, I love to see it. I love to see it. I revel in it. It's great. So I hope that I can enjoy the decadence and the luxury without having to turn around and be like, fraud, 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 pay the victims back. I really hope not. So I really hope all of their money is up to snuff so I can enjoy it vicariously without the guilt. Without the guilt. But yeah, but she makes her bank in her own right. Okay, let's go to, I'm going to go to Marisol real quick, and then I'm going to go to Alexia because I have a deeper dive into Alexia. Okay, so Marisol still loves the cockies. She's creating drama, starts rumor behind the scenes, but then doesn't want to get her hands dirty. I foresee a split between her and her bestie, Alexia. I see that there's going to be trouble in that duo. There's going to be trouble in paradise. It was kind of foreshadowed in Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip. It was kind of foreshadowed there where you could see that they were kind of like having a bit of like enough of each other. They're like, oh, we have to room together. We have to do all of this together. I don't have any space from you. And then I feel like Alexia kind of felt like she had to keep like, not like apologizing for Marisol, not only on Ultimate Girls Trip, I mean like this season too, but just sort of like being identified with her. Like everything Marisol does is now being identified as Alexia. And I think Alexia kind of wants to separate from Marisol a bit. For example, at the party, when Julia was coming for her, and Alexia was like, you can fight your own battle. I'm done fighting battles. I'm done getting involved. I got my own stuff going on. And Marisol in the confessional was like, well, I need you to defend me. Like, where's my bestie? I foresee a bit of a break in that friendship. But I do think at the end of the day, they'll come back to each other and be friends. I don't think it'll be a forever split, but I do see trouble ahead in that duo. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Now we talked about and I do want to see if Julia can hold her own against Marisol. I want to see more of that, sort of dynamic and that interaction. We'll see. And then I don't think her and Adriana will ever be friends again. I think once Adriana said, the man you were with was sliding in my DMs and he told me he never loved you, that's kind of a wrap on a friendship. But then again, from Adriana's point of view, once you tell the entire world that I am having sex with a married man and I'm not, that's also kind of a wrap on a friendship, right? So they kind of both did each other so dirty. So we'll see. Now, just to do a quick little shout out to Kiki. Hi, Kiki Boo Boo. I love you. She's a fun vibe. I love her light shade. I'm looking forward to seeing more of her this season. And she definitely brought the mess by saying Jody was a rebound to Lisa. But now let's get into Alexia, because this is my theory on what I think is really going on in her marriage. Rock with me on this. Follow me on this. So as we all know, yes, Alexia is very obsessed with image and what people think and the persona of herself and her family and her relationship. Well, okay, duh. Basically, everybody on this show is obsessed with image and what people think, or else they probably wouldn't be on a reality show. So I'm not really mad at her about that. But I think the real issue in her marriage with Todd has nothing to do with Adriana, has nothing to do with the show per se. I think by default, and I'll get a little bit more into that. I think and I don't think anybody's cheating. I don't think he's cheating. I don't think she's cheating. I think the real issue is that Todd is a healthy masculine man. I think he's very emotionally intelligent. I think he has really effective communication skills. And I think that he has a very healthy masculine energy. He seems to me like a very healed, healthy man. On the flip side of that, Alexia, in my personal opinion, is very much in an unhealthy, dysfunctional, codependent relationship with her sons, primarily Peter. Obviously, when I say relationship, I'm not talking sexual. I'm not talking about a sexual relationship at all. So just clear that up for the people in the back. Duh, not talking sexual. But the real man in Alexia's life is her son, Peter. Yes, we know Frankie. Yes, we know what happened to Frankie. Yes, we know he is more he has more needs. I totally understand that. I get that. But the real person that Alexia is married to has always been her son, Peter. Always. She has always enabled him. She's always coddled him. She's always supported him. Even when he got arrested for fighting his girlfriend, physically fighting his girlfriend. Alexia was defending him. Oh, there's two sides to every story. She's really crazy, blah, 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 blah. It's like, this is the same son who fought a homeless man. Remember, her son had fought the homeless guy and got in trouble with it? You know what I'm saying? And then also, what's also very telling is Todd foreshadowed her son Peter going to jail. He was like, if you don't stop, if you don't change your ways, you're going to get arrested. You're going to end up in jail. And then it happened. He got arrested and ended up in jail. And then also last season, Todd was very clear, like, you need to give Frankie the tools to be more of an independent man. Like, yes, you're doing a lot for Frankie, but you're doing it in a way that's actually a disservice. I know he had, his injuries, but people with brain injuries or disabilities, they still can become as independent and as, empowered as they want to be. They don't have to be coddled and enabled in a certain ways. And I actually think Frankie kind of wants more of that. Remember at the very end of last season, he was getting enrolled in the program to help adults who have those types of disabilities and challenges be more independent as their parents, get older, as their parents pass away, trying to get them more equipped for the world to, take care of themselves, yes, with support, but to be more independent because you can still live a fulfilled life, with all of that stuff going on. But she so clearly is in a very toxic, unhealthy, dysfunctional, codependent relationship with her sons. Her man is Peter. Her man, her husband is her son. That's why Todd was disgusted when she was at the dinner talking about, oh, he's moved closer to us now, and I'm really excited about that because I really want to go buy him groceries. And Todd looked like he wanted to throw up, and he was like, you do know he's a 30-year-old man, right? Why are you buying your 30-year-old son groceries? This isn't like I'm popping in for the in town and I want to buy my child something nice because I'm visiting them. This is clearly an ongoing issue and an ongoing problem. And I think that Alexia is turned off by Todd because he is a healthy person who is holding her accountable for her dysfunction. And I don't think she wants to get healthy. I think she's very comfortable within the dysfunction of her dynamics with her sons. I don't think she wants to change. And I think that him reminding her of how dysfunctional and unhealthy she is as a parent is turning her off. She had disdain for him and bitterness, and vice versa. I think because he is in his healthy masculine and is just a healthy person in general, I think that in the beginning, her beauty and their dynamic and the fun of everything, yeah, that was sexy. That was a vibe. That was chemistry. But when all of that fades away and you really see the dysfunction in the other person, and you see the lack of that person's not ability, but willingness to change, that is a turn off. That is a complete turn off. And I think that he is, to me, they both, Alexia and Todd, looked very, again, I'm not a doctor, I don't diagnose, but I do think they both looked very sad, very depressed, even. I'm not saying like they are depressed people. I think it's situational. Like we've all been situationally depressed. Everybody in the world, if there's a certain situation going on that is challenging, you can be depressed in those moments. Doesn't mean you suffer from depression, but within certain situations, you can be depressed in it. And so I think it's like situational. They're depressed in it because clearly they're not happy. Clearly it's not working. I don't think they're really having sex anymore because you can kind of tell couples who are having sex and when they're not. They looked kind of disgusted with each other. The dinner was very forced. And again, the entire night, all she talked about was her real man, which is Peter, her son. I'm sorry, but I don't want to talk about your son all day. Your son's a 30-year-old man who just got out of jail for beating up his girlfriend. I don't really want to talk about you buying him groceries. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to hear it. And it's very similar to people who are like, oh, my husband is married to work. All he talks about is work. He's always at work. He never has any time for me. So whenever your spouse or your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your person or whatever is married to someone or something other than you, that is going to cause problems in your relationship. Whether they are married to alcohol, whether they are married to dysfunctional codependent relationships with their children, whether they are married to cheating, whether they are married to work, whether they are married to going out with their friends, it's going to cause problems because you are always going to feel like you are not a priority, that you're not being listened to, that they're not spending time with you, and that you're not good enough and you're less than. You're going to feel like the odd person out in your own marriage whenever somebody else is married to something else. Think about it all the time. People are like, oh, my boyfriend wants to hang out with his friends all the time. Maybe he's married to his friends. My husband works all the time. He's married to marriage. My wife, I don't know, she shops all the time. These are all very stereotypical things I'm saying. I'm not trying to be, stereotypical, but clear examples that everybody kind of gets. You see what I'm saying? And that is what I think is the core issue going on in their marriage. I think Alexia is completely comfortable in her dysfunction. I think she's completely comfortable being in a relationship with her sons. I think she's completely comfortable in that codependent, toxic relationship. And I think that Todd clearly is not comfortable with having a wife who operates on this level of dysfunction. He even said it last season. He was like, you need to talk to someone. You guys need to get some professional help. And they sort of like scoffed at him and just came closer together. And I don't see that dynamic really ever changing. And I think that Todd is realizing this isn't the type of woman I want to be married to. And I think she's realizing this isn't the type of man I want to be married to. I think Alexia wants a man who is going to enable her dysfunction. And I think Todd wants a woman who is in her healthy feminine, her healthy energy, just a healthy person. You know what I'm saying? I think he wants a healthy wife who matches how healthy he is. And I think Alexia wants someone who enables her dysfunction. And I think that is the essence of the breakdown in their marriage. And I also think that he was embarrassed for how out of pocket he got, because I personally really do like Todd, but I didn't like what happened last season with against Dr. Nicole's husband. I forget what his name is, but that to me was really weird. Going, and then they did some social media beef and all this stuff, and then Todd did this weird, super long video apology that was just really weird and bizarre, and people were kind of clowning him for that. I think he's embarrassed how caught up he got in the TV drama and how caught up he got in all of it. So I think that the core problem with their relationship is what I just said. But I think the reason why he didn't go to the dinner was because he's embarrassed. Because you can be a healthy person and still, embarrass the hell out yourself. I'm a pretty healthy person, but there's still times where I'm like, Candy, get your life together, girl. Like, what the hell are you doing? Like, better than that. Stop. So I think that's a moment he had. I think he kind of got caught up and kind of got out of character. And he probably feels a little bit embarrassed about how caught up in the reality world game that he was in. And I think it was more ego and being embarrassed about all that stuff, the social media and the apology and how he acted. I think that was like the real reason why he didn't show up. But I think the demise and the breakdown of their marriage is just that you have two fundamentally different people who are in different levels of consciousness and awareness in their life. So that's what I really think is going on with Alexia and her husband, Todd. I don't think there's any cheating. I don't think it's about necessarily anybody on the show in particular. I just think that these two people have quickly found out that they're actually not compatible on an emotional, spiritual, intellectual level. They're not on the same page and they're not compatible. So that's what I really think is going on. So I want to know what you guys think. Put it down below and be sure to like, subscribe, and share. So I am going to drop the link in case anybody wants to come up and talk with me. And then I'll take some of your Candy Cane questions and comments. All right.